fall like this.
My channel. I hope you're all doing well. Today's video is going to be a makeup tutorial on this look. I asked you all on my Snapchat and my Twitter whether you wanted a like warm brown smoky eye or dramatic look or something a little bit softer and more subtle but with more cranberry and maroon colors. It was pretty split down the middle, so I decided I wanted to do both looks to kind of please everyone. This is the first look that I came up with. This look is definitely inspired by all the fall makeup looks you see on Instagram and Pinterest, but I wanted to do my own twist on it. I was really inspired by like a chocolate bar. I don't know if that's because I went to C's yesterday and got some chocolate, but I really wanted to do something warm, brown, smoky. And I also wanted to do like a brown lip to kind of go with the eyes. I do give you all two lip options, so if you don't want to wear something super dramatic like this, you guys can see it with the nude lip if you were interested in that. So I hope you all enjoy this look. Please give it a big thumbs up if you do, and subscribe if you haven't already. But if you do want to see how to recreate this kind of warm, brown, smoky, chocolate inspired look for the fall, then just keep on watching. So to start off this look, I am priming my eyes with my MAC Painterly Paint Pot. I'm just using my finger to buff this all over my eyelid before we go in with our eyeshadows. Today I'm using my Holy Grail palette from Voss Cosmetics. I'm just taking the color Thanks a Latte on a Sigma large fluff brush just to kind of set our primer so we can blend out evenly when we go on to our transition. For our first transition shade, I'm taking the color Bestie in that palette on a Morphe E27 brush. And this is a really nice synthetic fluffy brush that's perfect for doing windshield wiper motions in your crease. And you can just see I'm just placing that right in my crease and swiping it inside to the inner corner of my eye. The next color I'm taking is the color Are You Kidding Me, which is the cutest name. And I'm also taking that on a Morphe M513 brush and placing it a little bit more precisely underneath that first color we placed, which is still going to be in our crease. These brushes are very similar in shape. The one I'm using right now with this color is definitely a little bit shorter and smaller, but it comes up to a little bit more of a taper, so it's a really good brush for precise application of color that you want to deposit in your crease. The next color I'm taking from this palette is called Brownie Points. I'm taking this on a Morphe E28 brush. This one's definitely more tapered than all the other brushes that I've used. It's still pretty fluffy, but I'm using that and placing that color right on the outer third of my eye, blending it a little bit more into my crease. And then lastly, I'm taking the color Teddy Bear, which is the darkest color in this palette, and I'm applying that with a Morphe M506 brush. I love this brush for doing outer crease work and outer corner work. It's just the perfect shape, especially if you want to do something in the crease and do like a cut crease. This is just the perfect shape and size brush to place a lot of good color and pigmentation that's dark compared to something that's a little bit more fluffy and tapered. So I love that brush from Morphe. It's one of my favorites. I'm then going to go back in with the MAC Painterly Paint Pot that we use as a primer. I'm just using that on an Anastasia 18 brush. This is her concealer brush, and I'm placing that right on my lid, kind of using the same technique I would do to cut out my crease, but I'm not going all the way. As you can see, I'm just going to be cutting out right where I want my glitter and my other lid shade to be. And then I'm taking the color Toffee from the same palette, and I'm patting that on with a Sigma eyeshadow brush. This is the E55, and I'm placing that on the outer corner of my eye just to make sure that the pigment I'm using and the darker color blends in together. And this beautiful mineral glitter from Star Crush Cosmetics is called Prim and Proper. It's a gorgeous glitter. It's a mineral glitter, which means it's going to be a lot smaller than something that you would typically use as more of a chunkier glitter, so it's a lot finer. It's really easy to stick to the sticky base that we are using from MAC, and I love it. It's really easy to use. It does have quite a bit of fallout, as you can see. I will be wiping it away in just a little bit, but it is a gorgeous glitter. I love how it's so fine and the color is beautiful for this time of year. So again, I'm just going to be doing that same technique on the right side of my eye, putting on that toffee shade and then blending it out with the darker shade in the palette called Teddy Bear with that same Morphe brush. And then again, I'm just going to be using that eye shading brush E55 from Sigma to pack on that mineral glitter. You don't really need a dense brush with this because it is so fine, and you don't really need to pick up a lot of product because it is so pigmented. So I love using a fluffier shading brush to put on little pigments like this. I'm just going to quickly coat my lashes with a 1 coat of mascara. This is the Crazy Volume Mascara by Essence. I think it's the I Heart Extreme one, the pink tube. It's a really good mascara. I like using that before I put on my falsies so they kind of have a base to stick to. And the ones I'm applying today are my absolute favorites. These are the Ardell 3D Mega Volume Lashes in the number 250. I'm pretty sure you can only find them at Sally's, but they are absolutely gorgeous and super fluttery, perfect for this look without any winged liner. Next, moving on to the face, I'm taking my Sephora Collection 8-Hour Mattifying Moisturizer. You guys know I cannot do a tutorial without this. I always like to moisturize my face before I put on any other face makeup. To prime my skin today, I'm taking the Makeup Forever Step 1 Smoothing Primer. This is a great primer. As you can see, I'm just patting it into my skin, really pushing the product into my pores and into my fine lines to make a really nice smooth base for my foundation. And the foundation I'm using today is by Maybelline. It is the Fit Me Matte and Poreless. I love this foundation. This is a beautiful drugstore foundation. It's so inexpensive. I think I got this from Walmart for like under $6, which is nuts. It's so beautiful. I'm blending it out with my Morphe E6 brush. It just glides on the skin. It gives you a really great amount of coverage. It doesn't feel very heavy on the skin and it keeps me matte. So I love it. I already repurchased a couple bottles of that because it's just so good. Next, moving on to concealer, I'm taking the Fit Me concealer from Maybelline, and I'm also taking another concealer from L'Oreal. This is their Magic Lumi highlighter. I'm just placing that in the points on my face, right under my eyes and on the higher points of my forehead, down the bridge of my nose and on my chin where I want to be a little bit more highlighted. And then to blend that into my skin, I'm just taking a damp Real Techniques beauty sponge. Make sure your sponge is damp. I've had a couple people ask me why it's so hard for them to blend out concealer or foundation, and they forget that they have to damp their sponge. So make sure you are dampening your sponges, whether it be a beauty blender or Real Techniques sponge. It doesn't really matter how expensive or inexpensive it is. It has to be damp for it to work properly. And then taking, again, my damp beauty sponge from Real Techniques with my Laura Mercier translucent powder and just setting under my eyes, and everywhere else I put that highlighting concealer. Before I set the rest of my face, I'm actually going to be doing some cream bronzing today. I'm taking the Soleil Tan de Chanel bronzer. I'm using that on a Real Techniques sculpting brush. I love this brush for any cream products to blend in the skin. It just makes it look so natural looking, and I love doing this added step before I put on my powder. The powder I'm using today to lock in every single thing from foundation to make sure that everything else blends well is the Kat Von D translucent powder. I love this. You guys have heard me talk about it so much, probably tired of hearing about it, but it's one of my favorites right now. To go on to contouring, I'm taking the Shade and Light palette by Kat Von D and actually just mixing all three of those colors to kind of create a custom contour shade. I'm just placing that right on top of where I put that cream bronzer by Chanel, and I'm using actually a $3 e.l.f. brush. I don't think it has a name, but it's just their angled blush brush or contour brush. I love it for contouring. It's one of my favorites. I'm also taking another e.l.f. brush. This is their Kabuki brush, which is also $3, and just taking my Bobbi Brown bronzing bronzer in the color Golden Light to kind of place around the perimeter of my face to kind of warm up my skin a little bit more. And I decided I want a little bit extra highlightedness under my eyes, so I took that banana shade from the Shade and Light palette on a contour brush from Real Techniques to kind of just place under my eyes to brighten everything up just a little bit. For blush today, I'm taking the Jordana powder blush in the color Tawny Beige on a Morphe M142 brush and just placing that on the apples of my cheeks and blending it backwards up into my contour and bronzer, kind of give my face a little bit more of a sculpted look. And then I'm just going to blend it out with a dual fiber brush to make sure that nothing looks too harsh. Moving on to the cheekbones, I'm first going to be taking a cream highlighter. This one is called Wisp. It's by ColourPop. It's a beautiful kind of muted gold color, which is perfect for what we're going to be putting on top of it. I'm just going to be using my finger to kind of blend this into my skin and then wait till you guys see this highlighter. I've used this product on my channel before, but I love it so much. It's such an intense, gorgeous gold highlighter. It's by Jeffree Star Cosmetics. It's one of his Skin Frost in the color King Tut. Y'all really need some shades for this highlighter because it's so bright and intense and so pigmented. You only need the smallest bit, but I'm applying it with my Anastasia A23 brush, which is my favorite brush for highlighting. So I'm applying it on the tops of my cheekbones and a little bit down the bridge of my nose. To finish off the eyes, I'm going back in with the palette that I used before from Violet Voss Cosmetics with the color Brownie Points, and I'm applying that on an angled eyeshadow brush from e.l.f. on the outer third of my eye, and then going back in with the color Teddy Bear, which is the darkest color. I'm using the same brush but applying just a little bit out to the outer fourth of my eye. Because I like my lower lash line to pop a lot, I'm taking this Mally Shadow Stick Extra in the color Autumn Shimmer, which is a beautiful color. It reminds me a lot of my Marc Jacobs Twinkle Pops, which are super expensive, but this is a gorgeous color. I'm just going to be applying that on the inner third of my eye, and then on a Morphe M431, I'm going going back in with the Prim and Proper shade to place right on top of that. And I'm taking Tweedledum, another mineral glitter from Star Crush Cosmetics, and placing that on my inner corner. To finish off my eyes, I'm just going to be applying a little bit of Roller Lash by Benefit, and then we're going to move on to the lips. I have two lip options for you all. The first one is this Charlotte Tilbury Lip Duo. This is the Lip Cheat in the color Iconic Nude, which is a gorgeous dark nude to kind of create a shadow on your lips. And then I'm taking the color Kim KW. It's one of her hot lips. This is the most beautiful nude. It's going to be one of my new favorites. I'm obsessed. So this is the first option if that's something that you want and not something super dark. Next, I'm going to give you a dark option, which is definitely what I wanted to go for this look. I'm taking the Easy Liner for Lips by Jordana in the color Coco Loco, which is a really, really nice dark brown shade, which you can't really find a lot from the drugstore. So I'm super happy I found this. And to top that off, I'm just taking the Dose of Colors liquid lipstick in the color Chocolate Wasted, which is a gorgeous, super, super dark vampy brown, which are really, really hard to find. And I love dark poo brown lipsticks. I think they just look so pretty. To finish off the look, I'm just going to be setting my face with my mattifying makeup setting spray from Borocz, and you are done. Alright, so that's it for this look. I hope you all really enjoyed it. Please give me a big thumbs up if you did, and subscribe if you haven't already. I love you all so much, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!